Frank, I'll start with you. What's your level of confidence that your old club can get it done against Spurs?
I'm confident Chelsea play at home, and they had a very good game against Rennes. But I saw Spurs tonight playing as well with full of confidence, even if it was almost a B team. It's going to be a very good game. I'm very excited, and I'm looking forward to seeing that game because we want to know where the two teams are at. I mean, we expect them to give the best. We don't have too much injuries in both sides, and we want to know where they stand and what they're capable of. And I think it's going to be a very big exam and to see them playing against each other, to see where they're capable of going to, and if one of the two teams is a contender for the title.
Robbo, what kind of game do you think we get? Chelsea like to open things up. We know what Jose Mourinho and Spurs like to do. Opposites. What'll it end up being?
Well, I think Spurs, as you say, will play quite defensive, as they did against Man City. Everyone said it was the perfect display. Well, it wasn't the perfect display. Tottenham actually gave away about 14 shots to Chelsea in the last game against Manchester City. There was balls that came into the box. Man City should have scored with 2 headers. So I think the way Chelsea play, I think if they create chances and take them, I think they've got every chance of winning this game quite comfortably. Because I don't think Spurs' performance against Man City was anywhere near as good as people said it was. But they have to make sure that they watch Song on the counter-attack, because he's the main threat at the moment, with Harry Kane coming that little bit deeper.
Don, it's been quite an impressive turnaround from Chelsea in terms of at least their defensive effort in the last few weeks. Is that proof that Frank Lampard has maybe taken that first big step as a manager?
Yeah, I think so, Sebby. I think it was always going to take a little bit of time. And your perception at the start of the season was Chelsea was struggling. They were in a little bit of turmoil. But they've only lost one game, and that game was against Liverpool. They've had a few draws along the way. Tottenham and Chelsea are actually close to being identical records so far this season, only losing one game. But, you know, I agree with Rob. I'd done the analysis on the Man City game the other day against Spurs, and Spurs were incredibly defensive. So they'll do exactly the same. I just wonder if there might be a shift from Frank Lampard's point of view. He might put Hutchison-Odoi and put Timo Werner as the 9 and play Hutchison-Odoi and try and create width, because what Tottenham done against Man City, they played a sort of a box-like sort of area in midfield, and they allowed Man City to get wide in loads of areas, where if Jose does the same thing against Chelsea, Chelsea's strength is actually getting wide and getting fullbacks high up the pitch. So that's one where Jose will be keeping an eye on. But I don't think Tottenham's going to come out and try and play this attractive football and try and wallop Chelsea. That's not going to happen. We're not going to see that style of play from Jose whatsoever. So I honestly think this is a flip of a coin. It's a really hard one to call.
Frank, we heard so much about a Mourinho masterclass last week after the performance against Manchester City. What does Chelsea have to do to avoid what we all know Mourinho and Spurs are going to attempt?
Well, firstly, maybe to be very effective when they have a chance to score a goal, and then punish the Spurs when they can do that, and also be aware in counter-attack. You know, make sure that Kante and Jorginho work well defensively in the middle of the park, and make sure that the 4 at the back, you know, they're very spot on. And don't forget that Son, Kane in the middle, and Dembele, who is in absolutely fantastic form right now, are well eyed, I will say, and they can check them up every time they don't have the ball, and make sure that they keep an eye on them when they have the ball, because it's going to be a real threat for Chelsea, of course, every time Spurs will have the chance to get in counter-attack, because as the two guys said before, they swear they are the best, and it's what they showed against City. 2 chances, 2 goals, bye-bye.
Robbo, I'm sure we'll have a clear answer to this come Sunday night, but based on what you've seen so far from these two teams, who's more likely in your mind to make a serious title run?
I think Chelsea, because, as I said, in that Spurs game against Manchester City, there was still lots of flaws in their defensive play. And if Chelsea can get it wide and get crosses into the box and keep making runs from midfield and get their centre-forward, Abraham, if it is Abraham, to get in front of centre-halves, they can score goals. But overall, Chelsea, I think, have got the better chance of winning the title or challenging for the title. Spurs have still got a lot of work to do. I still don't fancy their midfield at times, although Frank's absolutely right. Ndombele is playing the best football he's played at the moment. So I still think Chelsea are the better team.
Don, I wonder, do you agree? Who do you think will finish higher in the table between the two?
It's a hard one, Sebi, because I think Jose's obviously the master, and we looked at his numbers, what Jose does in his second season. He's been a champion in almost all of them, apart from his time at Man United when he came second. So that's impressive. What he does in his second season, wherever he has been, he's been a champion. So you can't write Spurs off. They have to be in the conversation. But I think this game will tell us a lot, like Frank said, where the two teams are at. If Frank Lampard's men win, they'll put a nail, I wouldn't say a nail in their coffin for good, because Spurs will bounce back, but it'll be a massive confidence booster for Chelsea if they turn them over. And I'm with Frank. When you see Tottenham play, they don't really convince you. Højbjerg is not one of the best midfield players, even though he's doing a very good job. Everton bopped him off the pitch in match day one. He couldn't get a kick. And I always think with Dyer, and there's no Alderweireld, he's picked up an injury. They are quite weak at the back. They're good going forward with Son and Harry Kane and Bergwijn and Ndombele. So they are a threat there. But I just think overall, I think Chelsea might just have too much in terms of their squad.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.